All right. With that wrapping up the game section, we'll be moving on to the opinion section of the podcast. Again, this section is so we sort of look at suggestions from patrons over on the Patreon community and choose one for our podcast. Now, since this is the first one, technically this isn't chosen from anything. We just kind of came up with it. But as soon as discussions start rolling in, you can expect some shout outs and some interesting topics from the community. For this week, though, we have how virtual reality can affect our quarantined lives. So, like, how can virtual reality help? Is it good for what can be good for exercise? What can be good for social? Just kind of want to hear your guys' opinions. Anyone want to start?
So my favorite thing about it is the social aspect for sure. I don't
Yes.
remember where I read it, but before I read somebody's opinion on VR, and it was kind of negative. They were saying that I guess with regular gaming, you are still open to the world, but with VR, you're closed off. And so I don't think that's actually true though in this case, especially like during quarantine. I mean, in one aspect, that's true, but in the other aspect, I think this is the best time for it because then you can socialize, you can immerse yourself in other
Hmm.
worlds safely.
I think I agree that my first instinct was to be like, yeah, get those fitness games. You're gonna love those. But
Mhm.
honestly, we have to be so alone during this quarantine thing, and that's probably the thing that hurts people the most. I was pretty fortunate that I was able to move in with my family for all this. But prior to that, even with roommates, it's just like you're stuck and you feel stuck. A game just VR chat, as weird as it is, and it's a weird freaking game. Or at least a lot of the people can be weird. Um, or just go to Rec Room. You'll have less weirdness. Um, they, it's being able to interact with people on a level, even with the headset strapped on, even if it's virtual. It is virtual reality. It's gonna feel so much better than even just like Discord. It's so much nicer to be able to see someone, interact with them, make hand motions, go do
Exactly.
things, and go to virtual places.
Like,
I
big screen, that's a huge one
Yes,
right now.
and VR chat has like a room that's similar to that.
Totally legal room.
Totally legal. Yeah, totally a legal room with all the movies you could ever want. Totally acquired legally.
I know the articles you're talking about, Destiny, and that was a big argument, especially from Nintendo of all people, when VR gaming first started becoming big. Was well, you're isolating yourself in the headset. You're not spending time with people. You're not playing with your family, and there was more truth to that than there is now. But
Right, the tables turned.
the thing that people don't know, the direction that VR is going, that at least Facebook is trying to take it, is they want you to sit down and watch the Super Bowl with your family from across the world in the
Right.
same room. And they want you to have an avatar that's actually designed after you, that looks like you, and you're really having experience. It feels like right now, I feel like I'm sitting in a room with these three people having a podcast. I don't feel like I'm sitting alone in my studio. I totally feel like
No.
I'm here with them because of the movements and everything. So it really changes it. But another side to VR that I want to see that hasn't really expanded much beyond PSVR. In PSVR, there's a game called Playroom that's free, where the one person puts on the headset and they become a dragon, and everybody with dual shocks in
Yeah.
the room plays on the TV as these mice running from this dragon, and the dragon's trying to defeat them. Or there's another one where the person in the headset is inside of a gun turret, and the other three are these little robots fighting off hordes of toys trying to attack the person. So not only
That
can
is
it be
awesome.
social in VR chat and rec room with other people, but it can even be a really great experience with each other in the room if they actually start making more games like this. So that's a side I'm really excited because in quarantine, when people love, air quotes, love their family, you can get very sick of being with the same people all the time. So having
Hmm.
experiences like that with VR where you can actually play stuff together and bond, but it distracts you from having to just sit there. That's another great side of what it could be if we had more of that. So that's what I'm hoping to come so that the next time there's some crazy thing we're all stuck inside for, we can also play with each other in VR and not just the other people that have VR headsets around the world.
Hmm.
Exactly, and it's funny to see other, companies and people doing the same thing because, like, I know recently in Fortnite, they had that big, like, concert, where,
Oh yeah.
people got to interact. And it was funny because then I saw somebody in VR talking about that, eventually more of that coming to VR. But I was like, yeah, we really already have that though. There's like what is it, the Oculus venues and all that stuff where you
Right.
can see live shows now. You can experience that. And it would be cool to see it, on bigger levels. But I mean, it's just amazing. I don't think people realize exactly to what extent you can really truly socialize and feel like you're with other people and doing things.
Hmm. If you're watching this on YouTube, we upload these in sections, so I'd recommend checking out our section talking over the new Oculus Quest. There's sort of rumors, but they talk about like the Oculus Quest, what we're expecting with like the technical details, and that sort of plays into this. Once if the Oculus Quest can become cheaper and better and lighter and more comfortable, I think a lot we'll be seeing way more of this kind of stuff. More people will be in the social VR space, and maybe that scares some people. But to me, that's super exciting, and I think allows us to connect in a way that like Facebook, I don't think does at all.
Exactly.
Adam, you have any suggestions?
One interesting um, VR, it's not even a game, it's more of a VR experience that I'd recommend that I've been enjoying a lot over quarantine has actually been Google Earth.
Hmm.
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
I've heard I've always like whenever I come across like here's the things you should have on your VR headset, I always hear Google Earth and I never quite know why. So
If
elaborate
you
a bit.
have never experienced Google Earth VR, you need to immediately after this.
Yes, I
Okay.
have it too, and it's totally worth it. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Google Earth is
Huh.
the closest I've ever come to, I'd say, a religious experience inside a video game.
Really?
It is the surprising game changer. They're absolutely right. I can't believe you've never tried it.
I think of like even Street View in Google, like I picture it and I'm like, is it low
No,
fidelity?
no,
Like
no.
It is
no?
just, it
Look
is
at me.
so much better than you can imagine.
Okay,
Yes,
I
and
guess I gotta try
like
it now.
touring the museums, like, yeah, you just have to do
Yeah.
it.
I have no
And so,
excuse 'cause
one
it's free.
interesting aspect for me, especially during quarantine, so I actually lived several years in Japan, and it was absolutely mind blowing to be able to just, pick up the world. You get a lot of motion controls with the Google Earth. Turn it around, go straight into Japan, and be able to look at the different apartments I lived in while I was in Japan, and it
Oh,
felt
wow.
like I
Neat.
was really there. It was
Okay,
Oh,
the
that's
most
that's
cool.
really
incredible
cool.
experience
Yeah.
ever.
Mhm. Right, when you put it
So.
that way, now that's like slightly
Right.
nostalgic. That sounds really cool. All right, all
It's
right,
like,
all right.
"Okay, I'm
I'll
gonna
pick
do
it
it."
up.
But even to places that you've never been, and honestly, it's not like you're going anywhere else during this quarantine right now, so you might as well go there
Mm,
virtually.
yes,
It just pick it
exactly.
up. It's like, hey, I want to go see the Vatican today. Oh, I want to go
Mhm.
to, see the mountain ranges of Chile. Like it is absolutely incredible.
Destiny, is this on is Google Earth on the Quest?
It is, mhm, it was one of the first ones that I bought.
Huh.
Wait,
Wait,
you had to
so
pay
is
for
it
it?
free or is it yeah, wait.
I
What?
I remember having to pay for it, maybe it's free. I have 2 that I visit, the other one's called Wanderer or something, maybe that's the one I paid for. Do you know what I'm
Mhm.
talking about? It's very
Okay, so
similar to Google Earth.
I
yeah,
may or
so
may
the
not be
Google Earth experience, at
looking it
least on Steam VR, is a completely free experience. And so you really have no excuse for not trying it out.
up.
I'm gonna look that up
I'm
real quick, I'm very
sorry.
curious now.
I'm curious too because I got my dad a Quest and I told him we'll have to wait till you get a link to get on Google Earth because I just thought the Google Quest or I thought the Quest couldn't power Google Earth was the problem. I didn't think that it ran just on the Quest alone. I thought you had to link. So I'm really curious if that works, if it's free, because if so, I know he's gonna. That was the thing I showed him that actually even more so than Beat Saber sold him was Google Earth. Sam, I can't believe you haven't. I can't believe you
So
hadn't played it.
I'm looking at the Google Earth VR store page for Oculus Quest, or no, not Oculus Quest, but just Oculus right now. And it does say that it's only available on Rift and Rift S. It also
Yeah,
is
I'm
free.
looking at my stuff now, it's an app called Wonder, that's what I have.
Oh.
But it
Basically the
is
So
same product.
just like Google Earth, like, you can look it up, there's no difference. It's a 360 experience, and you travel and explore.
but you
Okay, so then
haven't played
people
Google Earth VR.
then apparently not. So
Okay,
for
I'm
people,
not the only one
yes.
then.
So for people who have Quest and want something without having the link, I would suggest the Wonder app. It's WANDER. Since I bought it a while ago, I don't remember how much it costs, but it is exactly like Google Earth, or at least what I would think it would be like. So definitely that's worth it. But now that I know, you said it's on Steam and it's free.
It is on Steam VR and it is free.
Okay,
Mhm.
then so yeah, then for people with the link, check out Google Earth. Okay, so then next we have to get that too.
We have no excuse.
Nope.
I showed my friend who used to live in France. I let him go back and check out France, and he about started crying. It's
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
it's almost a
It is-
magical experience.
It is truly, an incredible experience. Almost anyone, whenever I show people VR, I always show them two different things, and that is Beat Saber and Google Earth VR. And
Really?
between those two, they're sold on VR.
Huh.
oh yeah.
I wow. I did not. I mean, like I keep seeing it on the list, like I said, but I don't know. I just pictured like the low poly like kind of weirdness that I remember Google Earth as. I'm like, I don't want to see that in VR.
You are part of the problem.
You're part of the problem. I am. I suppose I am an that is an example of like seeing VR game footage, going that looks like it's got low textures or whatever, but in reality, it's a ton of fun. All right.
This is
My
one of the
next-
problems with VR in general, where it's hard to describe something unless you've actually experienced it. And that's one of the hardest things about getting people into VRs. They just don't understand until they've tried it. And
Mhm.
Google Earth is the exact same way, where it is just
Yeah.
so powerful that when I, spent a little while in it, when I first picked up my VR headset, I just had to sit down on my floor and just sort of absorb it. And just, it
Wow.
was so powerful.
I'm trying to think of where I'd want to go. Oh, well, I'll find out, and I'll get back to you guys on the next podcast. I think again
I
another
went to the
oldie but goodie.
Northeast.
Yeah, and you
It was
too,
fun.
Destiny.
Yes.
All right, we all got to try it out now. All right, with that, I think I'm gonna wrap up this podcast. We're now at roughly an hour and 10 minutes, depending on how long it took for me to get started. I don't remember. So thank you for tuning in, guys. We should have Twitter and YouTube and Patreon links down in the description, as well as some. Well, it doesn't matter at this point. You're at the end of the podcast, but there should be timestamps. So go ahead and check out all those resources. The Patreon subscription, the way I've currently got it, is $5 a month. Hopefully, that's pretty reasonable if you want to support this podcast. I think that's it. The first official podcast done.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.